all those studies done are done with people not on the carnivore diet, eating red meat, and anything like red meat. In those studies, pizza was considered red meat. Hamburgers from McDonald's were considered red meat with the burger bun and the ketchup with high fructose corn syrup. Instead of focusing on eating real whole foods, I was focusing on eating the lowest amount of calories. They took me to a dietitian and she was like, okay, to heal yourself, you need to eat junk food basically. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. I think that the everything in moderation is a slippery slope.
We've got a very special guest on today. Her name is Lexi Noelle. I'm sure if it rings a bell, you've probably seen her on your For You page, maybe buy at Aldi's, buy at Trader Joe's. I've learned a lot from her. And a brief introduction before we get into this conversation. At the age of 18 years old, she's a certified health coach. She has built a social media following, over 157,000 followers. She's the owner of Divine Eats, which is a bakery business that she's building out, trying to get in brick and mortar soon. And lastly, she does it all to glorify God. Lexi, much respect. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm very excited for this.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited as well.
Absolutely. So the first question I have for you is, I love when young people, or just people at any stage of their lives, when they're very passionate about a certain thing. And from my understanding, you're extremely passionate about real foods and getting rid of the processed junk, all of that. Why is that the case?
I'm beyond passionate about it. There are so many reasons. I went through some health battles myself. When I was 13, I wanted to be healthy, but I kind of did the opposite. Just instead of focusing on eating real whole foods, I was focusing on eating, the least amount or the lowest amount of calories, and rapidly lost a lot of weight and became an unhealthy version of myself. And in my healing, I have amazing parents who helped me put a stop to that. And they took me to a dietitian and she was like, okay, to heal yourself, you need to eat junk food basically. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. And so I started researching and fell down the rabbit hole of basically all the grocery store, and all the food in the grocery store is ultra processed junk food that we should not be putting into our body. And 70% of serotonin, your feel good hormone, is made in your gut. So if you put bad food into your body, you're not going to feel good mentally or physically. And eating disorders, they're a mental disorder. So if you don't feel good, if you don't put the right food in your gut that make you feel good mentally and physically, you will never feel good about yourself. And so I healed myself eating real whole foods, and now that's my mission, to help others.
So how can you go to a nutritionist, and your nutritionist, who should be the biggest expert on all of this stuff and knows all the downsides of processed food, how is it possible that in America, in the United States, you go to see a nutritionist saying, I'm struggling right now, I'm unhealthy with myself losing weight? How are they telling you the way to get healthy again is to eat garbage? It doesn't make sense to me.
Not at all. Personally, I think my take on this is most people who go into, when I was going through that, I was like, yeah, I want to be a dietitian. But I think most of those dietitians who are go into that field have an eating disorder themselves. And so personally, I don't think that they are fully recovered in most situations. So that's what my take is.
That's an interesting point. Do you think so this is a little bit conspiracy. Do you think there's another layer to that? So I understand your point. All right, dietitian, it makes sense. Like someone who struggled with something like that themselves is probably going to go into that career because they've solved it, or maybe they're struggling through it. They have knowledge. They want to help people. Do you think there's a deeper layer to that, saying, I don't know, something with big pharma, something with the government, controlling people, doing it for a money scheme? Do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, profit. I mean, when, I don't need them anymore, they don't make any money. So if I continue to put the ultra processed junk food in my body, and then I continue down the path of just trying to eat the lowest amount of the ultra processed junk food, I'm not going to heal myself. So yeah. and I'm still her patient, or I would have been if I
Yeah.
wouldn't have
Do you
advocated for myself. Or
do you know Paul Saladino?
I do.
Okay, so I was watching a podcast with Paul Saladino the other day, just trying to get a little bit of a better picture, kind of this food industry, and I heard a crazy statistic. When you look it up, when you compare sugar, how addictive sugar is, is as addictive as cocaine.
Yeah,
About that for a second. So it totally is it's a profit play. Like if you fill
absolutely.
these foods up with a bunch of garbage and you get hooked on them, like it tastes good. I'm not gonna lie. Like it just
Mhm.
makes you want to keep coming back and coming back, coming back. So it's such a crazy notion to think that that is really at the foundation of the people and these huge companies that are running our country. It's wild.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so you also mentioned another interesting topic right here. Like so with your struggles right away, um, you were losing weight and you were focusing more on calories in, calories out. Right now, I'm putting a ton of effort into my physique. So
Mhm.
I want to get down to 5% body fat. I'm not doing bodybuilding just for myself. One of the big things that's helped me with that is this thing right here. It's a Whoop. And so this tracks my calories. I kind of just I watch this like a hawk sometimes. And I'm
Mhm.
focusing on my meals. Maybe I'm not prioritizing always just eating whole foods, but I am significantly tracking. So if I get to that day and I can have a sweet treat that's under calories, I'm going to take that. Do you think long term that's not a good play and I should not worry about the calories and just focus on real foods? Or what's your opinion on that?
I am a firm believer that calories are not created equally. Like I don't think it's hard to argue that 80 calories from an apple is going to affect your body the same way as 80 calories from an Oreo cookie, because I don't think you absorb all of the calories from the apple because you have a fiber. It takes it harder. It's harder for it to digest in your body. So like you're actually burning calories to digest the apple versus how Oreos are just ultra processed, and it's kind of already processed for you. So you don't have to have as much energy and expend the amount of calories to digest it. So just get, you absorb it. But yeah, honestly, I don't have a firm position on in a term of trying to lose weight. I think you should probably eat less if you're trying to lose weight, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure about how important the calories are. Like
Right.
and I think if you eat whole real foods, you'll obviously be more full versus having, processed junk.
True. So just as these past couple days, it gets to a point where like I typically I am someone who eats the same things every single day. Like I like
Me
routine.
too.
That it's what you do. It's just like keeps you to a strict schedule. But like I'm
Mhm.
getting to the point where I'm eating the same thing probably now 2 months now. Every single day
Yeah.
it's the same thing. And I'm like, shit. Like I'm kind of craving a little bit of that sweet treat. It makes me more apt to just start binging a little bit because I've been so restrictive, which is not a good thing. And so then I started, and also when I be eating my meals, I would just be like, I got to eat less and less because I know at the end of the night, it's just like that's when I'm the most hungry and that's when I'm most apt to eat whatever I want. And so for this past week, what I've been doing is I've been eating real foods, all real foods, but I've been eating much bigger portions and not trying to push it off and just like I'm just gonna fill myself up right now. And the whole notion with it fills you up more and kind of just gets rid of that crave in your head. It's 100% real.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, so it's a good thing. She's right on this one. All right, next topic I want to talk about. I took a look at some of your comments, and we also talked beforehand. You got people all the time saying live a little bit, everything in moderation. You only live once. You're way too extreme. Like this stuff has been in your comment section repeatedly. How do those types of comments make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I get them all the time. I think that the everything in moderation is a slippery slope. I mean, I made one video about having a little bit of sugar in this protein bar in moderation, a little bit of sugar in this yogurt in moderation, a little bit of sugar in your coffee creamer in moderation. I was just trying to make a point of, if you have something in moderation, it adds up very, very quickly, because there is there might be 2 grams of sugar in 2 grams of like added sugar in something, but if you have something throughout your day with 2 grams of added sugar, like it adds up quickly. And I also say if you don't buy anything in the store with refined sugar, artificial sweeteners, seed oils, or artificial dyes, then you'll remove 99% of the grocery store for yourself. And then you only live once. I think you only live once and you only get one body. So you should take care of it, and you should put the highest quality fuel into your body every day, I think.
So for the everything in moderation thing, like the diet that is real food and is no processed stuff. It's a difficult diet to have because obviously like our entire food industry is made up of processed foods, but one could say that's super restrictive. And I've been in positions where this past summer, like I mentioned, eat every single day I eat the same thing. Like this summer, legit, like there was no cheating. It was every day the same thing. And it just gets to points where it's like, damn, like I've restricted myself so much that I have intense cravings, and that just eats going off the rails. But so like if you're adopting the mindset that everything shouldn't be in moderation, you should be restrictive and stick to real foods. Don't you think that could lead to someone binge eating or going off the rails?
Yeah, well, personally, this is my hot take, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
think that our ancestors were crying over not having an Oreo. Like they didn't have an option, and I don't think that they had binge eating disorders. Well, they never had the. I don't know if they were going and binging on eggs, but I think that if we just don't, and there are hundreds of different fruits and vegetables and meat, and there's so many different types of eggs. I feel like expand your variety with that. Like see how there are so many options. There's no reason to feel restricted because I'm sure you haven't tried every single fruit or every single vegetable, and people say they don't like how boring it is, but it is. I think it's so much fun to
Yeah.
go to the store and pick out a new fruit you've never tried, or pick out a new meat, and see if you like it. I think it's fun, and yeah, I don't know. I don't personally. I don't feel restricted. And if I'm having a craving of something sweet, I'm also a firm believer. Hence, Divine Eats. I'm a firm believer that you can make absolutely anything you're craving with real food ingredients. You can make cake, cookies, cinnamon rolls. You can literally make absolutely anything with real food ingredients.
So the whole thing about the ancestors, I see your logic there that you can't binge eat. There is no Oreos. But do you think it's possible for someone that's grown up in the 21st century? Because as a kid, this was not as big of a deal. So you've been exposed to all this stuff. It's kind of already in your brain. So is it possible never to have those cravings for the normal person that's not uber passionate like you are?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is sad we have such easy access to these highly palatable foods. DoorDash is at our fingertips and then it's at our door. So, it is harder in that situation. I would just say, make a plan. Make a plan for yourself. Write down your reason why. I would say always find your why before it makes you cry, because once you're down the slope, it's hard to get back. And yeah, I would say make your plan. And make sure you're eating the real foods that you actually enjoy. Like, don't go if you see somebody eating eggs and I don't know avocado and you hate that. Don't go eat it.
Yeah.
Like, find the real food you like.
What about from like a parent's perspective? Because I'm thinking a little bit long term, and I'm also going back to my childhood. Like my parents, they let me eat whatever. I mean, we weren't a real food household. We'd have pizza. Might go to my nana's house, and I'd be just chowing down candy bars and whatever. That's as a kid. I ate like shit. It was horrible. But like having that freedom as a kid, I think has kind of put me in a better mindset today where, all right, I actually want to prioritize, I want to do this stuff. Because when I think of kids back in their childhood where their parents were uber, you have to eat vegetables, we don't do any of this, no sweets. Well, then they go to a sleepover and, they're like, oh God, I have access to candy. Well, I'm going to eat whatever. And then now when they're older, they never had that freedom as a kid. So they're more apt to just do whatever. Do you think that stuff should start in childhood from a parent's perspective? Should they be like watching what their kids are eating and putting out real foods all the time?
Yeah, so clearly I'm not a parent yet. One day I plan to. In what I plan to do, and I also have a niece and nephew who live with me, so I see it. I would say I plan to eat or feed them all real whole foods, and when they go out, let them have kind of make their own decisions
Yeah.
at an appropriate age. But it is definitely harder today since I mean, my niece and nephew, they'll go to school and they'll come home with just Valentine's Day bags of candy. I'm like, oh my goodness. But I think if it's not a everyday thing, I think you'll set them up for success and kind of put the foundation of we eat real food to grow strong and have strong muscles, and so we can go play outside and not feel so tired and feel sluggish and just want to sit inside. So
Gotcha. So when your niece and nephew bring home like chocolate for Valentine's Day, do you like talk them through it and explain why this isn't maybe the best option?
they or my nephew, he's a baby, but my niece, she'll ask me, she'll be like, is this healthy? And she knows the difference now, she's like getting a hang of it. But yeah, I'll just say it's not, but fruit will make you feel so much better. So
Yeah.
and she's getting the hang of it. So
I've got an interesting question. I don't know if you've ever gotten this question before, but we talked before, and you said that one of the reasons that you're big into real food is because you want to go out and you think it's necessary that we should eat food made from God, because God didn't go out and make processed stuff. But let's just say someone's an atheist and they don't believe in God. What's your pitch to them for why they should eat real food? Because you can't necessarily take that angle anymore.
yeah, I would just say, I mean, a Christian or not, believe in God or not, we all know that real food. I mean, I really don't see how people can argue that ultra processed food's better than meat, fruit, eggs, vegetables. I just don't. I don't know. Look at the ingredients list. You look at an apple, there's no ingredients list. Look at the Oreos. There's stuff that, oh my goodness, the argument of everything's a chemical. Okay, yeah, but like, do you see the chemicals on like an apple? Like, do you see the ingredients of the chemicals on an apple versus on Oreo? You actually see the ingredients. Like, they actually have to list them because that's what it's made out of. So everything is not a chemical. I think that's the craziest argument.
From the ingredient standpoint, like what are big red flags that you should be looking for?
I would say, okay, all seed oils like grapeseed, safflower, sunflower, corn, canola, vegetable, artificial sweeteners, sucralose, aspartame, acesulfame, potassium, ACE K, artificial dyes. Those will just, and they're also trying to switch up the name of artificial dyes to trick you now. So you just gotta look out for those. If it's colored, like don't eat it. It's even pickles, which I think is insane. And there are synthetic vitamins, like folic acid is really bad.
Yeah.
And it's in a lot of fortified foods. Like, you'll see it in Oreos because they have no nutrients and they want the nutrition label to actually look comparable. But it's just added synthetic vitamins. So
Damn. What's the deal with Red 40? You mentioned dyes. I hear it everywhere. I was chewing a piece of gum the other day and I was looking at it and it said it had Red 40. And I'm pretty
yeah.
sure it's not good for you. But
No.
I chewed the gum anyway. Can you explain what's so bad about Red 40?
Yeah, Red 40, artificial dyes can be linked to hyperactivity, ADHD.
Okay.
They actually just banned Red 3 after it was banned in cosmetic skincare over 40 years. But they just now are like, okay, we'll ban it in food because it's unsafe. Like, we've known this, so.
Damn. And all this stuff though, like this is the crazy part. A lot of this stuff is banned in Europe. Like I studied abroad there and I mean their food system is much, much better than America. It's not even comparable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Yeah. Oh my god. They have like two different recipes for General Mills. I'm pretty sure that's the brand. General Mills cereal brand. There's like two formulas. One formula for the United States and one formula for Europe. And ours is artificially dyed, and theirs is dyed with turmeric and real food. So it's like
Yeah. The
they're
one
out to get
thing
us.
the one thing I will say about Europeans though is they like to drink. I'd be like studying abroad in London, and I mean this is over the summer. It's probably a Tuesday. You're walking downtown London Tuesday, and it's lunch hour noon. They just like the pubs are lined outside with people from corporate. But I mean they get their steps in. They eat healthy foods. Um, and so it is what it is. But you also brought up seed oils. So this is a topic I think it's got a ton of attention lately. Like guys like Gary Brecka, I'm sure you know who that is. Paul
Yeah.
Saladino, like those types of guys come out and they're saying seed oils horrible for you. And this is getting a ton of traction recently. Why is this just coming up? Why are seed oils like what are they and why are they so bad for you?
I think with the Maha movement, it's kind of we're kind of opening our eyes up, and people are being like, "Oh yeah, they're actually right. This stuff is horrible for us." Seed oils, they are extracted with this chemical called hexane. They're high in omega 6 fatty acids, which will throw off our body's balance of omega 6 to omega 3, throwing off the balance, creating inflammation and oxidative damage into our body. So, yeah, I'd say. I mean, and they were originally used as car lubricant, and now they're in our food because it's so cheap. So,
They were used as car lubricant?
yeah,
No way.
yeah. I have some studies. If you want me to share the studies, I can, so you can add them too.
Shit. Yeah. I mean, send me that over. That's a wild statistic. Like for alternatives though with sea oils, like I think a lot of people use it for it's like a butter alternative, right?
Mhm.
So if you're
Yeah.
looking to kind of cut down on the seed oils, what do you turn to?
I love avocado oil in my baking. I use that for Divine Eats, and then for just cooking every day, I like ghee, butter, beef tallow, olive oil, coconut oil. I think that covered it.
So avocado oil, is that not from a seed?
No, fruit.
Okay. Oh, so it's like from the skin. You're not the pit in the middle.
Right, like the actual fruit part.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Hmm.
On the topic of you don't do carnivore, do you?
I've done it. I did it for like a month, so I've tried it out.
Okay, so you have done carnivore. I think carnivore can be a very like controversial topic. A lot of people like swear by it, and other people definitely say no, don't do it. Um, and a lot of that comes from people saying like it causes heart disease and it's bad for the heart, like consuming a lot of red meat. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so all those studies done are done with people not on the carnivore diet, eating red meat. And anything like red meat in those studies, pizza was considered red meat because of the pepperoni. Hamburgers from McDonald's were considered red meat with the burger bun and the ketchup with high fructose corn syrup. So and hot dogs. Like so the studies are I actually also have a bunch of studies about cholesterol, red meat, and heart disease, so I can share those as well.
Yeah. So what is the red meat tier then? Are we talking like ground beef and steaks, pure like grass fed? Could it be a little bit maybe not grass fed? Is that still good for you, or what is the breakdown of red meat that's acceptable?
I am also like pasture raised eggs, red grass fed versus not. Buy any meat and eggs you can afford. They are so much better than ultra processed foods. If you can afford grass fed and pasture raised, go for it. But if you can't, that the meat, ground beef, steak, grass fed or not, it's going to be far better for you than pizza.
What about on the top of eggs? Like so over the summer, I'd eat 5 eggs every single day. So what
I
is that
love it.
35 eggs per week? My mom was on my ass about it, saying this is horrible for you. You need to go see the doctor. Your cholesterol is going to be through the roof. I was also eating all this red meat. She's like, you should not be eating this red meat. Um, and so I went to the doctor and I got my blood work taken. I don't know what my cholesterol would before, but the guy said like, yeah, I mean, you're healthy. Your cholesterol is a little bit high. Um, and I explained my diet. I'm assuming some of that comes from diet. is that cholesterol being a little bit higher though? Is that still a bad thing, or since it's from whole real foods, is that okay? Because I think a lot of people deal with this and are a little hesitant with going so in on so many eggs and just red meat.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not a doctor, but we need cholesterol. Cholesterol, like our brains are made of cholesterol. And do you know what the most uh, cholesterol rich food is?
Um, I don't, maybe meat. I don't, eggs. I don't know.
It's breast milk. And so that's literally you're creating and nourishing a human. So like if that was so bad for us, why would it be the first food we ever get?
Yeah.
So we need cholesterol. It's for our brains, and actually, low people with heart disease. 50% of people who have heart attacks have low normal cholesterol. So, so
Really
there's no correlation.
interesting. My mom also. So I'm behind that too, and I think like the real food, the meat's totally fine. My mom went to, I think maybe it's doctor nutrition something over the summer, and she came back and she's like, "Oh, Anthony, I told you like you shouldn't be doing this stuff. My doctor told me to stop eating as much meat because my cholesterol's higher." And instead, it's like it's the same thing with you, like the nutritionist, like, "Oh, you should start getting your food from here, here, here." And I'm trying to tell her like, how is that stuff not going to make everything so much worse? Like, there's no way that eating a steak or eating ground beef or eating eggs is bad for you if you're turning to processed food instead. So I mean, it's
Exactly.
just like a never-ending spiral. It's always screwed up.
Exactly.
What about the whole notion about energy though with the carnivore diet when you did it? Because I think a lot of people kind of steer clear of that, and at least for my friends, they're like, "Oh, I'm going to do carnivore diet, but I'm not sure because I don't want to be low on energy." Did you experience that on the carnivore?
To be honest, I didn't feel as strong in the gym.
Okay.
I think my everyday energy was pretty normal. Like I felt honestly, I felt good, but just not as strong in the gym. So that was really the only downside.
Okay. What is a full day of eating for you?
So currently, I'd say like my pre workout is typically eggs, some like chicken sausage and sourdough with a clean jelly. I like the brand Good Good jelly.
Okay.
They're good. And then post workout, I'll have like fruit. And then for lunch, I've typically been having avocado with eggs and turkey. The brand Applegate. It's pretty good.
Okay.
And then dinner, it ranges from like ribeye and eggs to any type of meat with any fruit or vegetable that I'm really in the mood for. And then for dessert, it'll be like a yogurt bowl and fruit.
Okay. You don't make any of your treats, or is that for special occasion?
I do. Like I have a birthday coming up and my brother's birthday, so I'll make a cake for us and we'll have that.
That's fire. What about on the nutrition side when we think about just like the biggest nutritional lies that we've been told? Do some kind of pop in right away for you?
Yeah, well, eggs and red meat are bad. That's a bad one. If it's, I actually recently just posted like health scams. So I'm gonna just say those. Gluten-free products are healthy. Like gluten-free label, like if it's labeled gluten-free, it's automatically healthy. Sugar-free is healthy. Like if it's sugar-free energy drinks, they're healthy. um, Let me think. Everything in moderation. To be honest, I just don't. And yeah, I guess those are a few.
Well, what about sugar though? Like, why is sugar okay in fruits? What is the difference?
Okay, so same thing with the calories. I'm like your body is smart, and I'm making a list in the Bible. I'm going reading the Bible and writing down every single food that it talks about.
Yeah.
And fruit and honey are mentioned very very frequently. So I don't think it personally. I don't think if it were bad, I don't think it would be mentioned in the Bible as some of the foundation foods we were eating.
Right.
And then I mean the difference between an apple and Oreos, like the ultra processed sugar it's gonna spike your glucose super super high and like keep you there versus an apple, it'll spike your glucose and then it'll come back down and stable and it won't
Mhm.
make you crash like candy and sugar ultra processed sugar will.
Gotcha. So it's the crash. Well, is it the same types of I know nothing about this. Is it the same types of sugar though that is in an apple and let's just say an Oreo, or is it some of the other things that they put inside the Oreo that mixes with the sugar that causes that spike and crash?
Well, both. It's completely different sugars. So, um, or a sugar in the Oreos, it's ultra processed cane sugar, like white sugar. And then apple, it's just pure. It's the sugar from the apple, like the fiber and stuff.
Right. And so all this stuff ends up affecting our gut, like something you brought up earlier. And I think there's a lot of trends within Gen Z. And I think one of the trends is gut health. I
Oh
hear
yeah.
about this. I hear about this all the time. And you start seeing like a poppy and an olipop coming out. Um, why is gut health so important? Like, what does it actually do for us?
I think it's crucial. Like I said, 70% of serotonin, our feel good hormone, is made in your gut. So if you have poor gut health, you're not going to feel good mentally or physically. I really think it's crucial. Yeah, so that's my main point is serotonin.
So you think it goes directly towards your brain. Like you're focused on the mental aspect of it, not even the physical. Does the gut health go out and promote physical too?
Yeah, I think your whole body's connected.
Okay.
So put bad food in, feel bad.
And so like a Poppy and an Olipop, they claim gut health. I think Poppy got sued for it for something, but if I drink a Poppy a day, am I just going to be magically better, or what other
Well,
foods are good for it?
nah, poppy has sugar in it too, so I don't think it's doing that much for you. Anyway, you honestly don't need any supplements. I mean, I love colostrum for gut health, but you don't need it. I would say you have fermented foods like sauerkraut, fruit. I mean, fiber is good for your gut. You know, and I don't know if the carnivores agree, but fiber is good for your gut health. And yeah, so you don't need a supplement. Just eat real food.
Real food. Okay. What about like a caffeine? Is caffeine something that you've steered clear of in the past, or are you anti? Because I saw a quote from Paul Saladino in that podcast, and I want to get your opinion on it. He said, on the topic of coffee and caffeine, it's borrowing tomorrow's happiness from today. And so he says he hasn't had it in forever, how many years. What's your opinion on that?
Okay, I mean, I don't think black coffee and green tea are bad sources of caffeine. If you want some tea or coffee, I'd say go for it. Personally, I don't think I'm not super anti caffeine. Just see how it makes you feel. I don't think we should be getting our caffeine from Red Bull and Celsius.
Yeah.
But if you just want some natural forms of caffeine, go for it.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'm a big coffee person. I probably rip like 6 cups of coffee a day. It's kind of, but you know what I think it is. I think it's in eating as a whole. Like a lot of the time when I get hungry or I want to eat, like I'm not really even hungry. And
Yeah.
you noticed it for yourself too, or in the past or other people, it's like it's purely a dopamine thing. It's like,
Yeah.
holy shit, I'm so bored right now. I want to eat. And I think that's why a lot of people, once you get in the corporate world, you don't move around at all. You don't get outside. And typically you gain a ton of weight. But a lot of that stems from is you're sitting at a desk all day. You're probably bored out of your mind. And you're like, well, I need to get a little fix. I'm just going to go and start putting some food away. And then when you look at it, the processed food's probably the most addicting, give you the most dopamine. And it's like this never ending spiral.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What do you think from like the Maha movement? I know you brought it out. How is RFK in this new Trump administration? Do you think they're actually going to come in and be able to change the way that Americans eat and the food industry? And if so, like what are you looking forward to the most?
I have hope. I for a while I was like, well, we have to start now. We have to go bottom up, but it's actually hopefully gonna be top down. So if it works, that works. But I don't think anybody can come and save you. I mean, Red Three is banned, but they're not going to go into effect till 2027. So I mean, you need to start advocating for yourself now. RFK is not going to come and save you. He's not going to. I as much as I wish he could get rid of all ultra processed food on the shelves. I don't. That's not going to happen. So you have to, inform yourself and buy the real food and find your why. And yeah, I would say absorb as much information as you can and buy the real foods and take care of your body because he can't do it for you.
True. Yeah, we always got to take care of our body. All right. Is there anything else? I know we've covered a lot here based on nutrition, food. Um, is there anything else that you want to leave with the audience, or topics that we haven't talked about that you're very passionate about in your life?
I think we covered everything. I mean, I could talk about this stuff for days and days, but yeah, I'm very passionate about nutrition,
Yeah.
Jesus, and real food. So
And where can people find you?
I'm at Lexi Noelle V for basically all social medias.
Awesome. All right. Well, there she is. Keep an eye out for it's divine sweets, right? Or divine treats for your business.
Divine Eats.
Divine Eats.
So close.
Words there. Divine Eats coming. I was taking a look at your Instagram. That stuff looks really good. So I wish you the best of luck with that. Keep building the brand. I'm gonna keep watching. I love your videos. Thank you so much, Lexi, for coming on and make America healthy again. Adios.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Somewhere on the screen should direct you to somewhere else in our channel. But as always, believe foolishly.